Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Josiah here, back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the top financial mistakes that I've made in my early 20s. Now, to be honest, I'm only 23 years old, but I have made quite a few amount of mistakes since leaving school and getting into the early days of my working life and not knowing what to do with my money because no one really taught me. So I had to just kind of figure it out with the internet and through mistakes. Hopefully you're doing the same thing now as well. So you're seeing someone on the internet, hi, myself, and I'm going to tell you some of the mistakes that I've made which you can avoid yourself. Now, some of these aren't necessarily mistakes, but they're also things that you might prefer not to spend your money on because they're either trivial or don't provide the value that they should do. Basically, I'm just going to talk through them and my thoughts on them, why I was spending my money on them at the time, and you'll kind of understand why now. I don't think that my money should have been used to purchase them, etc. So, but then again, at the time they did provide some value in some sort of area, but you'll understand what I mean as I talk through these. So the first thing that I'd like to mention is one day I went to Toys R Us with my friends and I bought £100 worth of Pokemon toys and merchandise. Now, funnily enough, this isn't really the first time I've done this because once the Pokemon Center opened up in London, I went ahead and did the same thing. Now, what's the difference between the two? Well, the first one was not planned, and the reason why is because I was high. I was taken to Toys R Us with my friends and I thought, wow, I'm gonna go berserk. All of this stuff looks so cool. And yeah, I ended up spending a lot of money. That's what leads me into my next point. Now, I don't think the problem was that I spent £100 on Pokemon toys. I mean, you can be the judge of that yourself, but it was the fact that my judgment was slightly altered because of the state of mind that I was in. I was under the influence. So that's my main point around that story. It's kind of just segueing into the fact that I spent a lot of money on weed and alcohol too, but not as much. Weed was the substance which I chose to spend quite a lot of my money on. Now, I've done a whole video on what I've learned from smoking weed and my experience with it, but one of the biggest things to take away from it is the actual spending that goes into it. It's not cheap. I mean, it can be, but when you smoke a lot, it's not cheap, and that money adds up. People always talk about cigarettes and how much money that smokers would save if they quit cigarettes, and you know, the numbers are always like, oh wow, you could buy a Ferrari or some shit. Of course, we don't really have those anti-smoke campaigns for weed in the UK, so if you did the numbers there, you know, if you're picking up around, you know, let's say you're picking up a 3-5 a week, for example. Let's say you pay £30 for a 3-5, you get one a week. I mean, you can do the math there. Some people smoke more than others, and some people do really benefit from it. Like I said, through smoking weed in the past, I did get to have a lot of unique experiences that I may have not encountered if I was sober or if I was not smoking. Friends, situations, etc. You know, just experiences in general. But I do think that the cost of it is a lot to take into consideration. So I think if you want to do it every now and again, then by all means do what you need to do. But if you're doing it all the time, then the cost really does add up and it's not cheap. So that's one that you should consider. Now, second point, moving away from drugs, we'll talk about another thing that can be as highly addictive, and that is fashion, streetwear, sneakers in particular. I've spent a lot of money when it comes to clothes. I'm buying hype clothing specifically. If you look back on this channel, you'll see that I have bought quite a lot of hype stuff. A lot of money has been spent on acquiring said items. And to be honest, in the community, I'm not even the worst when it comes to this stuff. You've got people that go for every Jordan, every Yeezy, every Supreme drop, every Palace drop. I wasn't really one of those people. I just kind of went for the things that I really wanted at the time. But yeah, having to keep up with these fashion items and all this hype is a big liability when it comes to your spending. Now, you could argue that if you buy an asset in streetwear culture like a Jordan or something, that the price does appreciate in value over time, and you know, you could make your money back. But a lot of the time I see people not doing that, and they do just buy the hype item and they want to wear it straight away so that they can get 1,000 likes on Instagram. So when it comes to fashion and streetwear, I have tried to take a back seat and appreciate it from a distance, because at the end of the day, I am still very interested in fashion and streetwear as a whole. I have done a video on this on minimalism versus streetwear, so check that out as well if you want. And I dive a little bit deeper into that whole conflict that I have when it comes to spending money and remaining minimalist when it comes to streetwear. But at the end of the day, I think you are holistically better off just wearing minimal clothing. No one notices if you're not wearing hype shit or anything like that, and I would advise that you especially take this advice if you're only buying hype stuff so that people will notice you or whatever. If you are genuinely interested in it, then by all means, like, just, I would say, don't go crazy with the spending, and if you are trying to be involved in the community, try and make some of your money back, or you can just piss your money away. It's up to you, but these are just my thoughts on the matter. Now, the next one is the laptop that I chose to buy when I first started making YouTube content, and that was the Dell XPS 13. Now, this is specifically to me, of course, but the reason why it is on this list is the laptop didn't perform as well as I had expected it to. And whilst it may have been a good laptop in general for doing normal stuff, typing, browsing the web, etc., when it came to processing power, being able to edit, being able to game on it, it sucked. It couldn't handle it. You guys will know at the end of last year I built my PC, and when it comes to cost, this was a fraction of the amount over of what I paid for my Dell XPS, and it's so much more powerful than what I was getting from the little machine. Now, there was really no benefit to having a laptop over building a PC. The laptop stayed stationary here most of the time anyway, so the portability aspect wasn't even a big feature for me. But the advice that I would give in these sorts of situations is to make sure that you've explored all sorts of possibilities when it comes to making a big purchase like a laptop or a PC or anything that you would not normally spend on an average day. Make sure you explore your options and actually see what you're using said asset to do. For example, me, of course, I wanted to use it to edit videos and potentially play a few games here and there, and unfortunately the Dell XPS could not deliver when it came to that department. Now, thankfully, I've made up for it with this PC, but if I had built a PC however many years ago, then I could have saved myself a lot of time productivity-wise, because rendering on that laptop was a headache. And of course, the money that I had spent on the device in itself could have gone towards a PC, and I could have upgraded it over time. With this laptop, I can't upgrade it. It's just sitting there collecting dust now. That's what I would say when it comes to making big purchases. Just make sure that you do your research properly. I don't know why I can't say that word today. Properly. Make sure you do your research properly. And make sure that whatever you're purchasing is going to be able to do what is required of it from yourself. Sticking to devices, the next thing I would say is phone contracts as a whole. I used to always go for a phone contract deal, a bundle deal by Virgin or T-Mobile. So it's EE now. Just for the mere fact that I wouldn't have to lose a large sum of my money all at once, and I'd be able to pay it off month by month towards a phone and a contract for being able to have text, minutes and data. The two former don't really matter, but you know, the data is what really matters. But here's the thing, it's usually actually cheaper in the long run to buy the device outright and then get a SIM only, either a contract or pay-as-you-go like Voxy or giffgaff, which offer contract-like benefits. Of course, not everyone's always in the situation to be able to spend so much money at one time, and the idea of a contract seems more alluring because you're able to pay off whatever it is that you're buying bit by bit, and you're going to be able to get the brand new phone straight away, and you're happy for like the first few weeks. But I think that mindset needs to change anyway when it comes to all purchasing. I don't think that you should look to purchase anything that you can't afford straight away with the money that you have and still be in a comfortable position. There's a general rule of if you don't have 10 times the amount of money to buy whatever it is that you're looking to buy it, then don't buy it. The only exception that I would really give towards this one is a house, because well, for obvious reasons, mortgages and all of that. Even cars, I don't even think you should really finance cars, but I'm not really one to talk on that because I don't have a car and I can't even drive, so take what you will from that. Quickly on that note, as a side bonus tip, I would urge everyone to get a credit card if you deem yourself responsible. I've done a whole video on this on the cards that I have in my wallet, but the gist of it is you can get bonuses for spending your money, your purchases are protected, refunds are protected, and I'm still counting, but really the main point of it is that spending with your debit card doesn't yield you any benefits. Using a credit card usually does. Make sure you look into which one gives what benefit and make sure that you pay it off in full all the time if you're gonna get one. The last mistake that I want you guys to all avoid is when it comes to investing. So if you're investing anyway, then well done, you're doing better than the average person when it comes to handling their money. I want to make sure that you guys are all doing it correctly and safely and not FOMOing into any stocks. Now this is a big thing that people even beyond their 20s, people that are just into investing anyway, this is a big thing that people have to learn to control because it's not easy. If you guys don't know what FOMOing is, it's basically fear of missing out. Essentially, this is how it looks. For example, with GameStop that happened recently, people saw that it was going high and they didn't want to miss out on that opportunity, so they would buy it at the top, and then what happens, it ends up dropping down and they're like, oh shit, I need to sell. So they buy high and they sell low, and what does that equal? It equals a loss of money. And yeah, now most likely you may end up doing this at some point, especially if you're investing and there's a lot of hype around a certain stock or a coin. It's going to be a difficult one to avoid falling into the trap of, but just remember that you don't want to always follow the herd, and sometimes it's best to go in another direction. General rule of thumb is, of course, to do the opposite of what I was talking about, and that is buy low and sell high. If you do that, then you're going to be fine. The problem is people think, oh, it might go higher, so let me buy it now, but actually that's at the top that you're buying at, and yeah, it's a sucky one, but yeah, just try and not fall victim to that as much as you can, and you'll be fine. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. These were my financial mistakes that I've made. Hopefully you guys don't fall victim to too many of them. And yeah, of course, remember, if you do make one or two of these mistakes, it's fine. Just make sure that you're making more right decisions than you're making mistakes, and in the grand scheme of things, you should be fine. But yeah, that's it. Like I said, check out all of those other videos that I referred to which discuss some of these matters in more detail, and leave me a comment below on what financial mistakes that you've made or lessons that you've actually learned from making these mistakes, and hopefully we can all use our knowledge to make sure that we're all in better positions than we once were when we started our 20s. Other than that, guys, make sure you stay safe, have a lovely day, and oh yeah, subscribe for more videos, of course. Take care.